Yo, what's good, everybody? Bren here. It is Tuesday, January 20th. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. The sky is falling. Bitcoin's coming down off of that 94K high, which we've been talking a lot about on streams the last few weeks. Um, but I'm going to go and tell you why I still think this setup that Bitcoin is in right now almost certainly leads to a move above 100K, which I think is going to reactivate the market. I think that pump that we got obviously off the 81K low initially a few weeks ago or last week was kind of just a test pump. You saw how the market and sentiment and everything just turned around so quickly. NFTs even went up based on a small, you know, pump from Bitcoin when it went from 81 to 94K. And I think this setup, which we'll go over here in a bit, leads us finally above that 94K here in the coming weeks. And then unlocks potentially a move to all-time highs, I think, which we'll go over. If not, at least a move back into 100K. Obviously, every time this happens, everybody gets bearish. People fall away. It's just been a really interesting time because of this period we've been in. Has been 2 or 3 months of just monotonous chop. There's been a few opportunities here and there. White whale, which we'll also go over. I don't know what exactly what happened there. We'll talk about that. But before we get into everything, before we get into the charts, before we get into chart setups, questions, comments, all that good stuff, if you guys could please like, comment, retweet, share the stream, bookmark, all that good stuff. Always appreciated. We're streaming on Instagram today, so if you happen to be one of the few people, I haven't checked it right now, that is tuning in on there, just know we are streaming on Twitter for the most part and YouTube. So definitely check us out on there as well. But yeah, before we get into it, I want to get to the chat. Let me go in the two things. If you guys are hanging out here with us today, first of all, appreciate you for being here. You could be doing anything at this time on this Tuesday, but you're hanging out here with us, and so I appreciate you. Either way, if you guys could tell me in the chat, one, where you're tuning in from the world, what country, region, whatever, and then two, if this is your first time in the show or returning. Uh, let's Oh, I didn't even click live for Instagram, so I'm talking to nobody apparently. Damn, I think I closed it. That is too bad. Let's see if it'll work. Yeah, I think I'd have to redo it. We'll do it in a second. Either way, see everybody in the chat. What is up, Space Faceless? Empathetic or empathic. I'm sorry. He says, "Yo, can USDUC come back?" I do think USDUC has a great shot at coming back. Also, if you guys have any questions, comments, anything in the chat, I will be looking at it. So, Ivic says returning. What is up, bro? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Affinity, nice to see you, bro. Big Lou, what's up, bro? If you guys are tuning in from the Telegram channel, and I know probably a decent amount of you guys are, let me know in the chat. Say BMCs in the chat as well. Jobs on Soul, what's up, bro? How you doing? How you doing? So obviously, let's just go ahead and get into it. Let me see. Returning, Hawk says returning. Space Faceless says he's from Charleston, South Carolina. Welcome. I appreciate you. It's good to see you as well. Hawk says Western U.S. Yeah, that's where I'm pulling in from as well, tuning in from as well. It is sunny here where I'm out in Southern California. I feel blessed. I know people, and I was looking at the weather app, fucking Chicago. My buddy here, my producer in Kentucky, they're expecting 16 ounces. What the fuck am I saying? 16 inches of snow, I think he said, in the next few days. So I'm blessed here to be in Southern California. I think it's 72 outside and sunny. So gonna go for get some sun here after this, go to the gym and all that good shit. So talk about bags. We'll talk about bags. We'll talk about all that good stuff. Mr. Empathic says, I'm asking because 3 mil is very low, 5 to 6 mil. Yeah, I think USDUC is gonna fucking go on a tear. Again, the only thing that's gonna survive and has survived meme coin wise ever is stuff that's a movement. It has to have a movement behind it, and I think that's why USDUC survives. So T-Boy, what's good, bro? I'll go ahead and DM you after. I saw your comment earlier. But let's just go ahead and get into it, guys. If you guys could like, comment, retweet, share before we could get started so we can get this out on the algo. Let's go ahead and get started with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, again, drives the entire market. There's a reason why pump fund volume, everything is driven by what part of the cycle Bitcoin is in. And I hope if you could learn anything from what I talk about here on the charts, and what you can pull away from a lot of this is that the market is in three phases. Any asset really is in three phases at one of three phases at any given time. Okay. And that is either it's impulsing, which is moving up or down, and these big moves up or down, like these where it's just mostly up only. Obviously corrections in between. The big green moves, the big moves here. Obviously, bear markets are shit. Bear markets are an example of that on the other side, where you'll get a top and then just big moves down for an extended period of time. That's an impulse. You have corrections, which are these choppy pullbacks in between. Okay. And then tops or peaks, I like to call them. Each of these have distinct characteristics, right? So what I believe Bitcoin is on the higher time frames a correction, just like we saw in 2025 on April, just like we saw in summer of 24, which I believe will eventually lead back to all-time highs. Very likely on this next bounce, believe it or not. I know that's not the popular opinion. Obviously, everything that happened with 1010, a lot of people are still in despair, but I believe this setup on the higher time frames very likely leads to all-time highs on this next bounce. Now, if we go to the lower time frames, remember I told you one of those three phases is a peak, which is a bottom or a top. What I believe on the more middle time frame, what we're forming here and what has me so confident that this setup that we're in on Bitcoin still is still going to lead to a move back above 100K is one thing: this consolidation. You see, Bitcoin has been holding this low at 81K for what is now 2 months. So it's what, 9 weeks. Okay. Now, really, if why that is so important is because peaks, which are bottoms in this case, remember I told you every one of these phases has distinct characteristics that make them what they are, right? The distinct characteristics of a bottom is one thing. Consolidation is holding a higher low for a certain period of time. Assets, they just need to do that. They need to distribute or accumulate, one of the two, which is going sideways before they change direction. That's just almost always how markets react. Very, very very rarely are you going to get just a V-shaped bottom where something makes a low and then just turns around the next day. Okay. So really what has me so confident, guys, that even if we move down to 88, 84, we could even sweep the lows and hit 78 real quick, is this consolidation, right? It's because really, if you go back to the higher time frames and look back at these past corrections, which again, I say this all the fucking time, do this yourself. The most value you're going to get out of charts is going to be on the higher time frames and comparing these past structures to the ones we're in now. That's where the clues that's where the clues lie. That's where the alpha and the clues lie, is in these higher time frame principles like consolidation. Okay. You see what ended the 2025 April correction? Same thing. 8 weeks of consolidation above 78, swept that low, and we went to all-time highs. Same thing here in 2024. Held the low at 54, retested it 2 or 3 times, used that as a base. And what happened after we finally shifted off that 8-week low? All-time highs. What happened in 2023? We made a low, swept it. What happened right after that? All-time highs. Same thing in 2023, which is the first one. We came down, consolidated for what was about 2 months, held that low. What happened after we shifted off? All-time highs. So this is a really strong setup, and that's why I titled the stream this way, is that this setup that Bitcoin is in this consolidation, is extremely strong. Every time that Bitcoin has consolidated after a correction like this for more than 3 weeks, it's not only led to a big bounce, but it's led to all-time highs. Like I just showed you, 4 out of 4 times. So does this time repeat? Does history repeat? Obviously, it's not guaranteed. But again, this is a very strong setup with very good historical context, not just in Bitcoin, but I could show you in the stock market time and time again. What happens before these big assets reverse, either on the higher time frames, lower time frames, is some type of consolidation, right? Obviously, I made this video. Damn it. I exited out 1 second. I made this video with my boy Jaden on a stream a couple months ago, saying the same thing. Again, V-shaped bottoms are very uncommon. I said this right when we started forming the 81K low, that very likely we're going to see a chop for several weeks and then move higher. And I think that's what we're still in. Unfortunately, Bitcoin came up to the 94K high. I thought there was a very good chance, because of how impulsively it was moving, that was going to be it and that we were going to go up and go to all-time highs. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing the screen, and could just go up from there. But unfortunately, Bitcoin did not close with a weekly candle close above that high. Instead, it closed the last day below that and is now, to me, very likely going to come back down and either retest this low at 81K, sweep it, or form a higher low. But I think it's going to come into the mid to low 80s at least, something like this. And then, it could sweep the lows, like I said, could fall short, could hit it exactly. But I think this is what we're going to see. I think we're finally going to see this consolidation finally act as a base. And really, the trigger that really confirms that this setup is done is once, like I just said, once we close with a weekly candle above this 94K high. And again, this is not just me pulling this fucking level out of my ass. Like, this is, again, just based on what has happened every time Bitcoin has made this setup since 2022, right? Bitcoin consolidates for, in this case, for 4 weeks back in April. And then what happened when Bitcoin gave us a weekly candle close above that high? All-time highs. What happened when Bitcoin gave us a weekly candle close above this high? All-time highs. So that's really the trigger, guys. And that's what I think is going to happen over the next few weeks. It could get a little bit violent. Again, we could sweep those lows, 78K even. We could come down to 84. We could come back down right to 80. The way I'm handling it and what I'm doing is the same shit that I've been doing the last couple months since we've been starting this. Is as far as leverage trading, I do trade perps, because again, I do think I do have a bit of an edge on the higher time frames. But what I'll be doing is, again, if we do get back down to these low levels, I will be longing ETH again. I am out of the markets as far as leverage. But other than that, I'm just buying and accumulating with the dry powder, the strong coins that I think are going to do well, the movement coins, the flywheel coins we've been talking a lot about, which we'll go over, and then just collecting NFTs, just having fun, enjoying this time, because I know what comes at the other side of these things, right? And every single time that I've chilled out, done, continue to do streams, continue to buy and hold good coins during this time, I've always done incredibly well on the other side over the last few years. So I think that's the same thing that's going to happen here. And what I think, just to reiterate, is that Bitcoin again is going to come back down to 84, 85K, maybe even 81, between here, between 85K and I would say about 78, and really finally put in that last leg and confirm that bottom. And again, it's just like, it's not like some gut feeling, or I do have a good gut feeling as well, but it's based on historical precedents in these structures. Consolidation is everything. Consolidation is king when it comes to reversals. And yeah, I'm just feeling really confident about this setup. I think we just need to let this play out. And I think we get back down to the mid to low 80s. Same thing with ETH. I mean, ETH could form a higher low. I think it'll bottom out between 28 and 26, and same kind of thing. Maybe do something like it did here, where it consolidated, swept the low really violently, and sent higher. But I think at the end of the Q1, or in the next few months, I think ETH, Bitcoin, Sol move higher, which will pump back the bring back pump fund volumes, bring the movement coins back crazy. The flywheel coins will get pumping. NFTs will continue up, and I think what I think is going to happen is get more of a follow through with retail mania, kind of like we did in 2024, yeah, at the end there, where obviously the chill guy meta started to happen here in 2024. It got really crazy for the first time in crypto in the mainstream. Then Trump came out, and then Bitcoin topped out. Kind of just this trifecta of like bearish shit happened, and then obviously the market came down. But I think with regulatory clarity, everything that's happening since that happened, I think the next leg up, not only does Bitcoin, ETH, Sol go up, not only does crypto Twitter start to get excited again, but I think it starts to leak back into the mainstream for the first time since 2021. And in that world, I think the movement coins do incredibly well, because that's where I think people are going to mostly be attracted to, is movements and stuff they believe in and is fun to them. And then the flywheel coins. I think revenue is going to be pumping, pump fund volume is going to be up, which is going to send pump higher. And yeah, that's how I see it playing out. Again, exact timing. Does it take a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months? I don't fucking know, but I'm here for it. And yeah, I think that's how it's going to play out. I think we see a few more weeks, maybe another week or so of downside. And I think that's it. I think we're coming to the very end of these corrections. I think we have historical precedents with like I said, with the structure, consolidation, ending every one of these corrections. Now, the one thing I would say, the one caveat is I think very likely we do move to all time highs because of the fundamentals that are going on other than price action. But I mean, just to play devil's advocate, I think very likely we do get this bounce. But what if we come up and just come like this and then something happens and then we push down one more time? I don't think that's likely. I put that at like a 30% chance or less of happening. But really, what the trigger of that would be is this 200 red 200 moving average I have here. Bitcoin in 2021 came down hard, bounced, and then failed to break that 200 moving average, and that's was the kind of chart confirmation that led to a bigger bear market. I could see something like that happening. There's a world where I could see that happening where Bitcoin bottoms out here in the next few weeks, pops and gets back up to 100, 102, 103K, fails to break that 200 moving average, and then comes back down one more time. I think there would have to be some type of something that would happen that come along with it, like news wise. But I just don't think that's likely. I think what's more likely is just like we saw here in April, just like we saw here in summer 24, we push up eventually and just tear right through that moving average. Um, but yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys think. Like, what are you feeling? Are you fucking stressing out? Are you chill? Are you cool? You've been on the streams with us. You know what to expect. Let me know. Soul, same kind of thing. I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask for Soul, so same thing. Soul's kind of approaching this low right now, but already. But I think same kind of thing is gonna happen with Soul. We kind of nailed this move here, but I think something like this is probably gonna happen with Soul, right? Where it comes back down, retest that low, and then sends higher. And then ultimately, this will be just a really strong bottom setup of more than a month of consolidation for Soul. So yeah, I think essentially on the majors, which again drives everything, we're coming in to the end or the tail end, the very end, I think, of these kind of corrections. And yeah, let me see here, dude. 347 motherfuckers in here. At least views throughout this time, 20 minutes in. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you guys are feeling though. Like I said, 16-ounce dude traps. Yeah, bro. Funny. Unstable greetings from Poland, mate. Yo, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Poland. Dude, what is the weather like in Poland? I know I was talking to somebody in Ukraine, which I know they're like negative 9 degrees, like they were showing me. I assume Poland is obviously close to Ukraine, right? I assume you guys are dealing with some crazy winter weather too. Tell me if I'm wrong. Uh, Bren, what do you? Yo, FFV said, when will Bren be available? I don't know, dude. I don't know. The creator coin, maybe someday. Maybe if it was attached to some real value for the fucking holders or some shit. I don't know. But when is ticker fucking FFV, dude? You need a meme coin. That'd be pretty crazy with your views or takes on meme coins. If you just said fuck it and launched a meme coin, that'd be pretty fucking funny. What do you think about Bitcoin repeating its 2022 top structure, which then led to a 100-day bear market? So let me pull that up. 2022 top structure. So I'll go ahead and tell you we'll go ahead and compare 2022. Actually, I love doing this shit. So that's actually good. I'll go ahead and tell you what in 2022 kind of told us whether we're in a bear market. It is kind of the line in the sand, right? We're on the weekly. Let me see if I can go to the daily. It probably look better. So in 2022, what happened? Let's just go ahead and study this, right? In 2022, I assume you mean obviously the 2021 top, right? Bitcoin. And the reason that really the biggest dead giveaway, and we haven't really talked about this in a while, on why this 2022 top was such a stronger and more obvious chart structure top is actually playing on something we just talked about a second ago. What did I tell you is the strongest sign of a top or bottom forming? Consolidation. So essentially, what really biggest difference between this high in 2022 and this little measly bitch top that we saw in October is how big this consolidation was. This is essentially, everybody remembers this in 2021 on ETH. Obviously, it topped out as well, like in ETH too. Bitcoin came down, and this is the time where NFTs kind of popped off too. And then Bitcoin and ETH kind of came up one more time, retested that high, failed to break, and then went down. Essentially, what I'm trying to tell you here is this consolidation on Bitcoin back here was a 6-month consolidation. Essentially, it held that high for 6 months and failed to break. That's a lot of consolidation. The more consolidation on the higher time frames, a more time a high or a low is held on the higher time frames, the more likelihood that there's going to be a big reversal off of that level. So this high, what we're seeing right here, is a much stronger structure or sign of a top versus, yes, there's some consolidation here, but it literally lasted 2 months. It's different, and it's just a smaller consolidation. And then the biggest thing again is that 200 moving average was the biggest differentiator between, or the biggest line in the sand between that bear market and what confirmed a bear market in 2022 was Bitcoin came back down from 69K down to 34, which is a 50% drop in a matter of like 2 months, month and a half. That's a big move. Now, this move that we had since right here, since October, is similar. It's definitely similar. It's definitely nowhere. It's about half as big of a move, but it's still a very violent move. What did we see after this violent move in 2022? We saw a bounce, right? That's like similar to the bounce I think we're going to get now. But that bounce kind of, you know, uh, petered out. It didn't have a lot of strength, and then it failed and came back down. That's what I would be looking at to kind of confirm that 2022 structure is if Bitcoin does come back, and bottom out here soon and gives us that big bounce like this, and then fails to break above this 200 moving average. I could see a world where it comes back down one more time. With that being said, I just don't think this really looks like 2022. 2022, again, were much bigger moves down. We saw a 50% move down and then another 75% move down. Even if Bitcoin does bounce here, fail to move higher and comes back down, I just don't see a world where this comes back down another 75%. So there's definitely some similarities. We need to look at the 200 moving average, like I said, to kind of be our guide. But I think that there's a lot of differences in 2022. Really, just these moves are way more impulsive. These are way more reminiscent and way more obvious bear market moves where big moves down. Like I said, impulses, right? Big moves down. These are not big moves down. This is one big move down and choppiness. I think even if we get a bounce here and come back down, I don't think it's going to be a 75% move. I think we'd probably, very worst case, probably bottom out in the 70s or 60s, bottom out maybe in the summer or something, and then move higher. Everybody talk, last thing before I go back to the chat, like everybody talks about bear markets as these like scary 3-4 year long winters, when in reality that's never how it's been. Bitcoin, even in 2021, which was the worst bear market we've had, crypto was literally like looked at as like a fraud after FTX and everything. From top to bottom, we're talking a matter of 11 months. 2017, same thing, 12 months from top to bottom. So top formed here in October. Worst case, maybe we put up in a top in freaking 8 months from now, which I don't think is going to happen. It's not this long, drawn, scary process. Either way, yeah, I think we get a bounce here, move to all-time highs, very likely. But worst case scenario, we bounce, kind of peter out like 2022, like you said, and then move down one more time, maybe into the 70s or 60s. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that too. That's a really good point, though. I appreciate you, Dangy. That's awesome. I think there is a lot of good comparisons and behavior and stuff like that, but also a lot of reasons to point that this is a mid-cycle correction versus 2022, which were these big 50% moves down. That to me was a way more obvious bear market type move, whereas this is way more reminiscent of these kind of what the fuck am I saying? Tight, choppier corrections like we got last year. How you feel about Troll? We'll go over that. What is up, FFV? I appreciate you. Dude, FFV, I'm pulling up these clips I'm going to post today. I don't know if you guys remember in our stream a couple weeks ago. If you haven't watched that already, definitely go and check that out. Check out FFV streams as well. But he actually called this. We were talking about how I thought we were going to get a bounce here, and we did. But he said, I think we're going to come back up to 95K, come back down. And I don't know if he said after that. I think he kind of thought we were going to be in this chop for a while, which is very valid and could happen. But he nailed that move for sure. I definitely need to post that clip today. But yeah, before I keep going, definitely check out FFV's stream, man. This is a guy who him and I just recently connected, like I said, the last few months. But he's one of the type of dudes where you feel like he's been your homie for a long time, dude. So much charisma from this dude, so much knowledge. Not to glaze him too fucking hard, but he glazed me on his last stream, so I gotta fucking return the favor. Definitely check him out. Honestly, all glazing aside, he puts out more value than almost everybody that I know on Twitter, just throughout all these different things, meme coins, InfoFi, all the different stuff that he's worked in. So shout out to him. Bit Khalif says tuning in from Pakistan. Damn, brother. Dude, Gardner says relatively cold, negative 19. Oh yeah, just relatively cold. No, brother, that's fucking freezing. There's no relatively anything. Dude, hang in there. Holy fuck. I cannot. Negative 19 Celsius. What is that in? Maybe that's less than. That's still negative though. So Celsius to Fahrenheit. Oh, so it's -2. That's still fucking bad though, dude. I can't imagine. Like I said, I live in Southern California. Fucking even in the winter, we get down to 50 or something, and it's like I'd get roasted if I did that. Yeah, the creator coin, FFE creator coin would be crazy. Mill to Bill Easy says, damn, did I? I'm good. He says, hi, bro, can we trade this? I mean, long from 88,000 to 88,400 or short from here? So that's a good question. So right now, I should have shorted last night. The confirmation for me is, again, how we behaved at this 94K consolidation high. Once we saw acceptance back into there, really my system, I should have shorted this. I, again, was just not on the screens and distracted and just didn't short last night. And by the time I wake up this morning, it's still here. Honestly, I could probably still short this. I think that there's probably going to be some choppiness at some point. But if I were to long or short here, let's just say whatever, I would do this. I would short here. It's just a little bit tricky. You don't want to go too crazy because we're already going down so much, strike right here. But I would probably put a short here with like a stop above this high here. Because if we move back into 93, 94 territory, it something probably is wrong in the sense that we probably just do continue to move higher from there. But I see this as very impulsive. We see a rejection in 94K. I think very likely moves back down, like I said, into the mid to low 80s, kind of put in that last leg of this kind of double bottom or whatever fucking consolidation, whatever structure it is, and then finally move back above 94K in the coming weeks. But if I were to be on the short term, like my system would have me short right here. Really from here, after the rejection of that high, kind of pull back after that first kind of impulse down, I'd be short right here. But right now, even if I were to, you could do it, you could technically be pretty good risk management, I think, shorting here with a stop, up here. But again, that's just me. Yeah, cool. Cheers for answering. Yeah, no worries, bro. Gardner said my blood stopped flowing after today's market dump. I feel nothing, dude. FFV said it in this clip that I was saying the other day that it's just like you really gotta fucking love this shit, dude. And I know all of us that are here really do. Or else we just wouldn't be here. The fact that, continuing to be here on Twitter, pulling up and hanging out in streams, or just hanging out on Twitter in general, when there's not only nothing really happening, but the coins that we are all passionate about have been like sideways and kind of down in price for months and like a year for some of these. And there's still crazy motherfuckers here excited. That says you really do just gotta love this shit. But again, the projects that do survive out of these things, the people that do survive, I always just see go on to do great things. So just see, whatever. You what's up, you young? Gardner, what's up, brother? But let's just go ahead and conclude what I said about Bitcoin. I think very likely keeps coming back down. You expect everybody to get extremely fucking bearish again, especially every fucking time we come back down to this low, it gets more and more despair and whatever, understandably so. But I think very likely we just got let the charts be our guide. And the one thing that really is consistent and really is predictable or predictive in the market, and one of the few things that really is an actual clue that leaves signs in the market that is actually repeatable, is consolidation. I could show you every single major bottom on every chart is formed by one thing, usually multiple weeks or multiple months of consolidation. That doesn't mean every consolidation is that, but when that consolidation comes after a big correction like this, oftentimes in the right context, that is a very, very strong sign that a bottom is coming. Um, Same kind of thing here. I still think and to be fair to the last time there has been a 8-week consolidation like this that led to a big move down instead, um, was and like an actual sustainable move down that it didn't immediately recover, was all the way back in 2022, right? Every other consolidation after a correction on Bitcoin since 2023 has led to a big bounce. Well, really has led to all-time highs, but at least a big bounce. The last time that Bitcoin came down more than 30%, bounced and didn't go back to all-time highs eventually or after that, was in 2022. So that's what we got to keep an eye on. Do we do a 2022 type top and come back down one more time, or do we do a April 2025 type move and go back to all-time highs? I think we're more of an April type 2025 type correction. So check Giga. Yeah, I'll do Giga right now. Let's just go ahead and check a few of these coins again. For me, I sound like a fucking broken record, but this is the shit that I think, just sticking to my guns here, of these two sectors going to do incredibly well on the other side of this. Just again, because they've proven already that every time Bitcoin has come out of these corrections, that the movement coins, used to call them movement memes, but it's just like they're born as movement coins, but really survive because born as meme coins, but they survive because they're movements, right? And Giga, obviously one of them. Giga's down, not gonna lie, it's down. What is this? Almost 95% or something. And on paper, that's obviously crazy. But Giga has been through, we count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 to 70% corrections in the last 2 years. Obviously, this is the biggest one, but they're building the fitness line. One of the few coins that has a very, very popular meme, obviously Giga Chad, which will matter when normies are trading coins again. You have what's it called? A strong movement, like I said, and then they're building like a brand as well with the fitness stuff. I think that will matter when Bitcoin conditions are good again. And essentially, I think Giga, all these other great coins are going to come out of the ashes when Bitcoin's done. I told you what I think Bitcoin's going to do. So you can essentially kind of bet that if Bitcoin is going to bottom out and go up, that within a few weeks, that these coins that are surviving should also do the same, or do something similar, right? So Giga, SPX, MOG, USDUC is up there as well. Troll, like you guys were saying, all coins that have survived these big washouts before. They have groups of people who still, we have groups of people who are still betting on them, like, and still not betting on them, like, are still passionate about it and making content and all that shit, despite price being down 60-70%. SPX has survived massive crashes before. I think it comes out again when Bitcoin does. And then we have the other side, which is the revenue coins, the Asters, the Hyperliquids. Really, the biggest two is Hype, Pump, and like Zora. And I know Zora is not really producing any crazy revenue right this second, but Pump and Hyperliquid, the two most obvious apps that people are still using right now because they want to like use the actual application, not to farm an airdrop or anything. And I think those ones are going to do incredibly well on the upside. And then last one, the token works coins, the Punkster, the coins like this that are attached to these NFT flywheels. I have a very strong feeling that NFTs are, at least the surviving ones, will do very well over the next year or two. And I think Punkster probably is bottomed out here if Bitcoin bottoms out soon, and it probably sends back towards all-time highs. I have a lot of bullish. I have a lot of confidence in these top what's it called? Token works coins as well. So really those are the coins I've been buying. That's my bread and butter. I've been, nibbling at these coins every few days. Pengu I bought more of yesterday because I think is a really obvious setup. Um, if it does hold this low here, probably forms kind of like a really obvious kind of double bottom, I think, something like this, and then probably moves higher, which again would be a big 2-month consolidation. So Pengu's been making so many big partnerships with NASCAR, getting on the Sphere, all these different things that don't really show in price, obviously, when conditions are shit. But conditions are everything, guys. Conditions are so much so everything that even when Elon tweets when Bitcoin and conditions are shit, it doesn't do anything. But when Elon tweets a fucking random meme when meme coin conditions are good, everybody's aping into it and it goes to 200 million. Like even Elon tweets are not immune to conditions, right? And conditions are kind of this elusive, esoteric thing, but really you can think of conditions as Bitcoin. Bitcoin drives conditions. When Bitcoin's up and in a impulsive, strong uh, structure or whatever the fuck, then the rest of the other market is healthy for the most part. So, Pudgy Penguins, all this stuff, the great stuff they're doing is really going to show in the price and everything else when markets are down. Conditions are good again, and I think we're coming towards the bottom. So Rect, Pengu, SPX, Mog, Troll, USDUC. Somebody told me to look at USDUC. Probably a really big, definitely more risk in this one because it is newer. There's not as much of not a moat, but like not as much of a time in the game and stuff. But I think where it's at 3 million with how much presence and stuff they still have on the timeline versus the actual market cap, I think it's a good bet here. So, it's moving under this consolidation, but I essentially think USDUC will move back with the rest of the market. What are your thoughts on Nothing? Yeah, I'll look at Nothing, bro. I never really bought Nothing. Didn't really get into it too much looking into it. So I can just tell you what the chart is doing. I thought maybe right there it might move up, but then when it started to consolidate here, didn't look good. But it's tough because Nothing is coming back down towards this low. Really, like, again, I don't know too much about the community or the strength or really the movement at all, but this is kind of what you want to see here. You want to see it chop towards the bottom and go up like that. I remember we've seen, old structures like that on old coins like Ponky, if I'm remembering correctly. Um, maybe not Ponky. Maybe it was what was the other one? Moo, maybe. Where Moo kind of formed these big consolidations things and then moved higher. Now this one's absolutely destroyed, but yeah, I think Nothing. Best case scenario, that's what it does. If that's what you feel strong, confident about the community and all that shit that it's still around and building something and supply distribution and all that good shit, this is probably where you would want to bid. But that's all I can really tell you. Rhythm King says Punkster / NFC Renaissance likely to outperform memes in my opinion. Stronger narrative. Yeah, no, a Rhythm King. I'm 100% with you, bro. I think there's gonna be an NFT renaissance, surrounded by, which I want to talk about for a second, dude. So stick around for that. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts, but um, NFT renaissance driven by collectability, like Gary Vee said the other day. I put out that clip that it is the year of the collector, right? Inside and outside of NFTs, like collecting is just everything. It's becoming up there with with all these big entertainment, things. And also, yeah, I think there's going to be a renaissance around NFTs. I think more so it's going to be and not or, like it always is. I think it'll be memes and NFTs. And the reason that is because I think the world is just moving towards digital speculation, collecting, and moving, yeah, and digital. So I think all of those things are going to become big cultural phenomenons. And I do think the NFTs and the collecting will outperform and outlast almost everything in the meme coin realm. But I would liken a lot of these movement coins that I'm talking about that have already survived a few years, where people are really after a bigger movement and community and all that stuff, are kind of going to be up there with some of those NFTs as well. I think a lot of them are the same reasons I'm bullish on movement coins. Is the same a lot of the same reasons I'm bullish on stuff like VFriends. Obviously, VFriends has Gary V, who is just king operator. I think he just understands all this shit more than anybody. But also, you have a very strong cult community that is just extremely bought in to the characters and the community itself. I think that really matters. Jesse, are you reminding me to quote tweet or what? I appreciate it. While I'm doing this, guys, a quick reset to the show. We're gonna go over a lot more stuff here, or at least maybe 20-ish more minutes. If you guys could like, comment, retweet, share. I do these streams twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays for now. Next Friday, we had FFV last week, or yeah, last not this last Friday, but the week before. We had some great guests this year. That's definitely one of the biggest focuses this year, other than us catching some great plays and good trade ideas and all that shit, is having cool people on. People who have good stories. Want to have FFE again on soon. I'm actually gonna have Greeny and Craig, who had me on their show last week. Obviously, you guys know Greeny trades, and then I think his thing's Greeny trades. But anyway, Greeny and then Craig's coin purse. Two of my good buddies here. We're gonna have them on the stream next week as well. So look out for that. Tuesdays and Fridays, 11. I need to be, usually 11:30 a.m. PST. So definitely turn on post notifications, follow if you aren't already, so you don't miss the next one. Really, I'm just trying to make this more of a place we can hang out, talk, share ideas. I give my trade ideas and analysis, and luckily, God, it's been a blessing that this year where we've caught a lot of great, not only perps trades, the trade 1800 on ETH, where I was extremely bullish, with all this stuff going on in the institutional world. We were able to catch from 1800 to 4800, Pengu, USDUC, Pump, pretty much a lot of the great plays this year we were able to catch together on stream, accumulate weeks and days ahead of time. So definitely excited to do more of that this year as well. But want to make this a place everybody can come hang out, share ideas, definitely get some of my thoughts and stuff as well. But this isn't just about me. Like, I want to form a cool community here, and also maybe have some cool people on, and also just community members come and maybe ask some questions live. And then last thing, actually, I'm gonna have Twitter Spaces every Thursday with my buddy Hemdog and other friends. So definitely look out for that this Thursday. Um, Thursday at 4 p.m. PST. We're gonna do that. If you want to come hang out, come talk, chop it up, ask questions, look out for that as well. So appreciate everybody fucking for being here, though. Honestly, can we still? Did I quote tweet or am I still? No, I didn't. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see. Oops. Let's see. Yo, we're live. We're live. Okay, perfect. Can we see the troll chart? Yeah, I'll pull a troll for you. Damn, troll broke through that consolidation. That was a really strong consolidation here. So I think we'll form much of the same. Troll, I'd really like to see it form this bottom here, and when it does, kind of chop sideways for a bit before going up, and then do something like that. I think it's just much going to be driven by the entirety of how the market moves. It's pretty insane to see this down 90%. But just think about how many people doubt that these things are going to go up. I think that's baked into the price, and I think very likely it's bottomed out, is pretty fucking close. So I like troll here still. Been accumulating really since around here at 60 mil. Didn't really catch any of this initial move up, but I still think it's a good accumulation, with the understanding that we could be in this for a couple weeks or for a couple months. I understand why people want to just stay away from these meme coins. Like, I get it. It's like, why the fuck, risk it if you don't really have belief? But I just see the thesis so clearly about movement coins because they've already survived these before. And I get it. I think maybe pump fund volume doesn't come back. I still think it does. But the movement coins, regardless, I think are going to be one of the few that come out of this either way. Few own nothing. Yeah. Can we see troll chart? What's your thesis behind Mog? I've also been buying. Mog's a movement coin. Mog's the epitome of a movement coin. I think Mog has already made some strides and proven that it can make a lot of mainstream. It's already kind of dipped into the mainstream with the whole phase shit. Obviously, all that's kind of withered away. A lot of that was with phase banks and stuff, but I think it just shows that is um Mog is just like one of the most universally loved and like kind of attractive things to everybody inside and outside of crypto. And then also probably the biggest one is that I don't know if Mog, the word Mog is extremely big in like pop culture among like kids right now, and both brain rot and then also like the biggest person on TikTok and Instagram and stuff right now is that guy Clavicular. And like when he talks about looks maxing and all that. And the word Mog is just huge right now. Like you have kids and stuff who have no idea about the Mog meme coin saying that right now. So if crypto conditions do come around here, we have Mog that has survived one. This one is probably the most obvious, right? One, two, three, four corrections of 70 to 90% over the last few years and have come out every single time. I think Mog comes out of here, has a strong movement, time in the game, and then the Mog phrase is so big in pop culture right now. I think it could make for a perfect storm of kind of bullishness. So yeah, I'll look at PsyOp anime. I know we looked at that last stream, but yeah. So man, honestly, this was a really nice structure here, and it came back down and consolidated, and it's just making another leg lower. It could definitely be just a correction that recovers, but I would really need like Troll, for example. The reason I'm so kind of bullish on Troll versus some of these other ones is because I believe in the movement and the stuff going on in the team and the other stuff. I don't know enough about PsyOff anime. I don't know if it has enough time in the game for me to really have a lot of confidence in the fundamentals. But if you have confidence in the fundamentals, you want to see something like this. Consolidate for a bit and then move. That's a little dramatic, but move above that kind of that channel. And if it's able to do that, it's probably going to be off to the races, bro. So that's kind of what you want to see. Other than that, I can't really give you any too strong of an answer. I guess this is down 75%. Could definitely recover, but you want to see something like that. Yeah, for sure. GVC PFP strong. Case in point. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Do you think? Yeah, I know the GVC art is just fucking. It just pops, bro. Really good, high quality art. Uh, do you think pump new incubator hackathon movement will be possible? See, I think like all these things that are happening in the background, like the pump, the hackathon stuff, and all that stuff is just good long term stuff. It just builds community. It's just it doesn't reflect in price right away. Right? Very rarely do these things reflect in price during shitty conditions. When Bitcoin's down and doing the shit, it's just not gonna no hackathon's gonna bring prices back to like crazy levels. But I think having stuff like that is good, right? It builds a community, it builds, whatever they're building in throughout the hackathons, all that good stuff long term is definitely bullish, right? So let's go back to Bitcoin. Still moving down, guys. I think we're gonna, close the week lower, very likely. And if it were to start chopping down, like if it were to start doing some of this shit like this, kind of like and just chopping and shit, that actually be the slower it chops down here, the better. You know, obviously, yeah, the slow and more corrective this last leg down here is the better. So I think that's what we're gonna see very, very likely here. Is I think we come back here this next Friday stream with prices a lot with a prices a bit lower, and then you know maybe to close the month we move higher or something, but Alter Signal says thanks, Brent. You rock, bro. What else do we got on the agenda? We can talk some NFT shit. What the fuck happened to White Whale? I had a few guys comment on the what's it called? Um, sorry, I saw a few guys comment on the announcement tweet talking a bit about the White Whale stuff. So I'll go ahead and pull this up before we do some research. So obviously White Whale today. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Down almost 90%. Is it what 90? Not White Rock, White Whale. So we got white whale down. Oops, white whale from top to bottom, almost 90%, about 80% down. Huge move down. After we caught it again, white whale, I forgot to talk about earlier, was probably the biggest play we had this year as far as gains. We talked about it on the stream. I got in at 3.5 million. We moved down to 1 million, and then it went on a fucking absolute tear to 100, 200 million in about, what was this, a month, right? Now it is down 90%, still up about 10x on the entry. I've already taken 75% of my position in. What does it do from here? First of all, what caused this? We have some guys in the chat, which again, I appreciate you guys for commenting this, said the top holder had some batshit beliefs related to Elon Musk and clipped 3.5%. The movement hasn't changed. White whale just getting its second major 80% correction. 1 billion next. Yeah, this is definitely fair. We, like I said, the best coins, Pepe, Doge, all these coins that have done incredibly well over crypto's history have all gone through 30 to 90, 30, 50, 70, 90% corrections and survived. That's kind of the telltale sign of a coin that survives long term. So I mean, we can look into it a little bit more, but it does look like the top holder did clip some off, and obviously that is going to have a big effect on the chart, right? Let's see. White whale, you're looking by the future. Engagement farmers will keep riding. A whale just bought 78K worth. So where does it go from here? I do think white whale is definitely different. He has a lot of attention, driving a lot of attention on it. I wouldn't bet against it. I would like to see some consolidation here and a move up out back to like 60. If that happens, very good chance it does continue to move higher. What I'm doing personally is just holding the 25% of my position that I have from 3.5 million. And I'm just going to hold that, and if it, not add to it. I think even really up 10x right now on this, I'd way rather put that capital into something that hasn't moved up crazy yet. So that's how I'm playing it, just holding my 25% that I still have in it and hoping for higher. And I do think there's a good chance. I wouldn't bet up against the white whale, and yeah, I think there's a good shot that it recovers and goes back to all time highs. Let's see here. White whale. Let's go ahead and review some stuff on the Twitter timeline. Shout out to all of the new followers today. Appreciate everybody. Just admit that you and Bossman are the same guy. We are not. We are not. We are very, yeah, no, there's videos that Bossman and I are both in voice things. And I'm sure you're probably trolling, but the fucking Bossman put out a few voice things. You can hear our voices are different, definitely different people, different ages, different sides of the world. But no, that's funny, bro. Still get that a lot from people who haven't been in the TG for a bit or whatever. But yeah, anybody's listening there, we are definitely two different people. That'd be pretty crazy if you're pulling it off this long. Let's go ahead and review the timeline. Still pretty fucking quiet. A lot of VFriend stuff. Got my boy Jade in here with these killer NFT videos lately. Damn, my fucking timeline is a lot of VFriend shit. Shout out to Greeny for this nice short. Shout out to him. Alex Becker says crypto isn't confirmed any direction yet. There's massive risk to the upside, aka gains. There's mid to low risk to the downside. Here's why this is so scary when it shouldn't be. The market clearly believes risk off metals and cash is the move. If you're in crypto, you're betting they're all stupid and wrong and FOMOing the top. You are the equivalent to the one guy saying buy gold when it was doing nothing and memes were topping in 24. If you'd done this, then people would have literally chased you off X, labeling you whatever. It felt terrible. Holding crypto right now is the same thing. If you're taking this bet, there's no world where we reach giant gains without major discomfort beforehand and huge uncertainty as we resist the pull of where everyone else is FOMOing while looking at like idiots. This is the cost of taking the extremely unpopular contrary position. If you believe in crypto and are all in, it's out of your hands at this point, except the fear that comes from believing what 95% do not. I mean, he's so right, dude. Every single time April, because I remember, because I was bullish and posting about ETH and people were just laughing, like just whatever. it kind of has to be that way. In order for these big bottoms to form, almost always 95% of the people believe that it's over in some sense. So same thing's going to happen here. I truly do think, again, we just got to look at what matters in the data, and that's in the price action with these consolidations. We look at the fundamentals, just extremely bullish. Um, yeah. So I think Alex is right here. Damn, a lot of fucking NFT shit on my timeline. Um, Let me know if your guys' timeline's all fucked up though. You guys see this Vitali? Damn, after 290 days in the Philippine jail with rats, cockroaches, and 35-degree Celsius weather, I'm finally free. Oh, this is him? Fuck. They really tried to break me, but it built me out of the 290 days. I spent 91 in complete isolation. They wanted me gone. That's pretty gnarly. Yeah, I guess he got deported to back to Russia. Got deported back to Russia, which is nuts. A lot of people think he might have to serve in the war now, which would be nuts. Um, yeah, and mostly NFT shit. Again, this is what we kind of want to see at the bottom is just boredom, like people not paying attention, not paying attention to every move, and I think that's almost always what we see at the bottom. So yeah, I just wanted to hop on today again, give some update on price action, just give you again the bull case and why, hopefully give you some, a place to hang out during this fucking time for one, but give you some kind of clarity and peace of mind and maybe some hopium, whatever the fuck you want to call it, based on real data and real, you know, real price action data, real other type of data that has historically led to moves higher. It's actually stuff that's repeatable and legitimate in these consolidations and stuff. It may be boring, it may not be the fun thing to talk about, whatever the fuck, but it's important. And I think there's every reason, again, especially Bitcoin holds or ETH holds above 2,700, that we finally shift off here and use this consolidation as a base that pushes us back to 100K, pushes us back to 44,000 plus, just like we saw here in all these other consolidations. So again, I'm just so numb to this back and forth shit, just like a lot of us are. But we see what comes on the other end of this, and I think this time, like I said earlier, we very likely get a retail mania, and all this regulatory shit, all this institutional stuff is gonna actually push crypto into a more strong, obvious, I don't know, euphoric, whatever period than probably we've ever seen, and it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. How are you breaking the flight curse? Well, um, yeah, I don't have a flight curse. That's fucking the boss man flight curse. Didn't it? We did go up for a little bit actually when he was flying the other day. I think it might have gotten broken a bit, but yeah, I don't think he's flying today. So I think we're good for a bottom here soon. Yeah, if you guys haven't already, definitely check out the Telegram in my bio here. Boss man calls me. Like I said, my buddy Boss Man. I've been working together for 3 years. I joined up with him back in November of 2020, 2 years ago, November of 23. When the channel had about 300 subs. We've been working together, and the blessing of building it up to 40,000 subs from around the world. Obviously, a lot of you guys are from there, get the privilege of interacting with people literally from all over the world. Amazing connections that I built through this channel, and we post stuff all around crypto, stuff we talk about here, and in depth, kind of written out trade ideas. I give the what I'm seeing, the invalidations, in both setups and spot coins, leverage trading stuff. Bossman posts a lot of great stuff in there too, giveaways sometimes, all of that good stuff. And then also BossBot is another thing that we launched as well that allows you to get really quick news from inside the financial world, crypto news, all that good stuff to use to your advantage in your trading and whatever else, straight to your Telegram. So check that out as well. BossBot, Bossman calls, if you're not already in there, check it out. And then obviously Bossman, my business partner as well. Check out what he's doing. I think Thread guy is streaming right now. Let's see what he's fucking up to. Oh, he's got the Uber Mendez guy on. What? Telegram? Oh, gotcha. Um, by the way, if it sounds like I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to my producer, guys. You can't fucking hear him in the background. I swear I'm not schizo. Um, all right, guys. Let's see. OSF wrecked yesterday. That's
People
pretty
started
cool.
catching on, then the sales started going crazy, basically. And
Um, but yeah, with that, guys, not crazy amount to talk about today. I just wanted to do a quick update on the price. Again, Bitcoin drives everything. Really, sometimes it's the only thing that to look at. Only really need thing you need to be paying attention to if you want to really gauge the health of the market because of how much it drives everything. Other than that, again, I broke down what I'm doing, guys. I'm literally just hanging out, accumulating these coins that I have very strong conviction in. I think there's a time and place to really be more active in the smaller coins in the trenches. And we caught white whale again at 3.5 million at a very low cap coin, which was great. That's a blessing, but I think it's really important to be picky during these times. Chill, wait until conditions are good, and then strike in the lower cap stuff. And right now, just buy and hold, buy and hold. The people that I win time and time again on the other side of these corrections for the most part are the people who had the courage to just buy and hold the great coins during these shitty times, not give a fuck about short term or if this is going to take a week, 2 months, 3 months, not overthinking the little things and just locking in and on that bigger term vision. um and I think that's what it is. I think Bitcoin, there's the most obvious time to be bullish on crypto, not just the stable coins and all that stuff, but what I think is going to drive meme coins and all movement coins, at least crypto in general, to really big places is the adoption of digital wallets. I think all the stuff the institutions are doing are just going to get digital wallets in the hands of everybody. And more digital wallets means more people buying NFTs and meme coins and crypto in general. So, yeah, I think that's going to happen over the next few years. Shout out to you for sticking around. Definitely come back on Friday. I'm going to make some announcements with Greeny and Craig. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to schedule them. I know we need to lock in the exact time, but look out for that Greeny and Craig next Friday. We'll talk more about Bitcoin. I think we will be a little bit lower on Friday in Bitcoin, but we'll see. We'll definitely come back and check that out. But again, guys, I think we're at the tail end of this correction. And look, just study yourself. Go back after the stream if you're going to do anything on the charts and see what happens on behavior, on all these different things. That once Bitcoin does come out of these things, it's always worth it. So I can't wait, frankly. And shout out to you guys all for hanging out with me today. Again, you could do anything on your Tuesday. You decided to come hang out with me. I hope this is providing a place for not only to be learning and to catch some good gains and all that, but a place to hang out and escape what I think is a lot of despair and other bullshit on crypto Twitter during these times. And with that, guys, love everybody. Again, if shoot me a DM if we haven't already chopped it up. Really trying to network this year, not just like whatever, but like real deliberate networking with great people who support the streams. I want to support people who support me this year. So appreciate everybody. Shoot me a DM if we haven't already chopped it up, and see you guys next Friday, 11:30 a.m. Turn on post notifications, follow the Boss Man Calls channel, and then obviously at the top, those other socials. If you guys could do me a favor, go on TikTok, Instagram. If you got any value from these streams ever, go to TikTok, Instagram, shoot me a follow, maybe like a few of the videos, whatever the fuck. Trying to build those other socials here, especially as I do the docs the face and all that good shit. But with that, guys, hope everybody has a great day. Shout out to Rhythm King, shout out to Hawk, shout out to Alter. Would you accumulate fart coin at this range? Yes, I would. I think fart coin, me personally, fits into that movement coin stuff. Any tips for lev holders? I would say any tip for lev holders, lev traders, is give yourself a I would be trying to catch these bigger moves with smaller leverage instead of trying to catch smaller moves with big leverage. Smaller moves with big leverage is almost certainly going to get you wrecked. Use 5 to 7x leverage and try to accumulate longs or shorts before bigger moves. Like right now, I'd be starting to accumulate longs as we move down here, but give yourself a lot of room. Make sure the liquidation price or your stop loss is a pretty far room. Give yourself some room and all that. We'll go over some more leverage trading stuff on the next stream, Arsham. Great question. But shout out Greg, Alter, Dangy, Carl, Rhythm, ATK, everybody for hanging out. I'll see you guys on the next one on Friday. And with that, God, I appreciate you guys. Be safe and love you guys.